Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to today's class, Understanding Google Analytics. Today we'll be talking about how to measure actually using Google Analytics. In the last two classes, we've talked about what is measurement in today's world, and secondly, what exactly should we measure? What metrics are important to us and which are not important to us? So today we would be uh, going down into Google Analytics and setting up accounts, understanding how the tracking is actually done, the structure of Google Analytics accounts, and then we begin to see some quick data and reports within Google Analytics. So the first thing is how does Google Analytics track? So you have a website and you are going to get a sample code or a snippet of code from Google Analytics, insert on your website that would propagate across all your websites or every section of the website that you want to track. Once this code is on site and the user loads a page of your website, that code is also loaded as the user sees content on your website. And that information makes a request to the Google server with all the data that has been collected within the cookie. And every other interaction that you do on the website is being logged back and forth and data being collected. And some data are actually left on your browser onto your next visit. And Google is able to know when was the last visit, how long did you come back to this particular website. So that's basic. You get a simple snippet of code from your Google Analytics account that has basic information, your account ID, and the domain, which is the URL of the website you want to track. So that is being collected, and then you insert it on your website. Mostly, you would implement either directly or using Google Tag Manager, which is another tool that you can use to manage tags on your website, or with any plugin of any platform you may be using. So, for example, if you're using WordPress, there is a WordPress plugin that allows you to be able to implement this Google Analytics tracking code. Or if you're using Joomla, you're using Drupal or Laravel, any of these other platforms, they do have plugins you can use to implement this code. But it's pretty simple. You take a code from Google Analytics and insert it across all the pages of your website, especially all the pages you want to track. There are some pages that you may not want to track. Say, for example, if you have internet banking and you feel you want to be much more secured, and you don't want any data being tracked, you can decide not to implement the code on that particular site. So that's pretty much how Google Analytics data is being collected off your website. The next thing, so that you can see the code, is to quickly explain what is the structure of Google Analytics. So you have a Google Analytics account attached to a particular email. And actually, you can have several accounts attached to one singular email. So the first thing is you have an account. The next thing is you set up a property. A property is one particular website, which is a property that I own, or my mobile app on Android, that's a property, or my mobile app on Android is another property, or a subdomain of my main website. That can also be another property. Now, in each of these properties, it's just a definition to Google Analytics. Say, I own this thing, and I've inserted the code on the website, and then you can collect data on these properties for it to be represented on the platform. Once data is collected, and like I mentioned in the last class, you can have the data via an API or via the interface that we're all familiar with, or which I would be showing you very soon. The next level, so I've mentioned accounts, property. The next level is a view or views. You would usually have a view to be able to filter the right data, the data that you actually need, or to segment the view different people within your organization would have. So, for example, you want to remove traffic that is coming from within your company, say from your engineering team or from your customer service team, or just traffic that you know that, yeah, it doesn't really need to be tracked because they're just internal. Or you want to actually create a view for the sales team so that they can see metrics that are important for the sales role. And you have another view for the marketing team to actually see what interests them in marketing. And this data would be separate, and this data would provide the level of access that is required based on who is seeing this data or not. So, for example, a very good use case is in publishing. Say you want to create a view whereby that has all the monetization information, and you do not want to expose that information to the, say, engineering team or the IT team, who in some cases could be a vendor or could be a third party platform or third party vendor. You can create a separate view that they would see, the IT vendor would see every traffic coming to the website, including site performance and all of the important things that is required for the engineering department, without seeing potential financial information. So what you've done is created a view for IT and then a view for business. So really, views are really important for you to be able to filter data that is required based on your business needs. So these three features are kind of the hierarchy within Google Analytics. And I can just share my screen for you to see an example of how exactly it would be like to have. So this is an example of a regular user account, which is a Gmail. Like I said, one single Gmail account can have several analytics accounts. So in this first example, this is an account, analytics account, and then you can have multiple properties. And then within each of the properties, you can have several views. And then you can see the same thing too here. This is a team account, and then you have just one property, but you have several views. Excuse me. And each one of these views would be given access to separate team members based on the rights to have this view. There's a very good observation here. As you can see, there's a master view. There's this best practice to always have one master view that has all the possible data, because for every view you create, you're actually segmenting or you're actually filtering out other types of data. So it's always good to have a view that has all data, which you can then create sub views or filtered views from. So this is a very good way to understand it. You can check out this resource. I'm going to share it in the description of the video of how the account is structured. It's pretty simple. All you just need to understand is you have an account, you have a property, and you have a view. And there's a need for a view in each of the properties that you may have. So that's really how to set up your structure. The next thing is to actually show you how to actually track. So this is the Google Analytics interface. But what I would try to do is I'll try to create a new property, not necessarily an account. So, okay, I can actually create an account here. Once you log in, you go to Google Analytics. You go to analytics.google.com or google.com/analytics. Once you get in, you sign in with your Gmail. The first interface you would probably see if you don't have any account is this screen that says, what is the account name? You have a name. What is the property name? What is the URL of the property? What industry do you currently exist in? The time zone you want the reporting of your data to be done. Be sure to choose the location and time zone that is most comfortable for you, because this is a really good way to miss important information. And I'm going to explain much more about this over time. Setting the right reporting time is very, very important. And then most times data sharing is just for you to be able to get insight in your analytics account if you check any one of this service, and if you need support from the Google team. So, and then once you do that, you click on get tracking ID, which would provide you the ID that you need. I'm not going to create it right now because I already have several accounts. So the next thing you will see is something that looks like this, a page that looks like this. When you click on get tracking code, the page would have your tracking ID, the website tracking code like I mentioned, and sample implementation techniques. If you are using a PHP website, there's a recommendation of what to do. If you want to use Google Tag Manager, there's a recommendation of what you need to do. But the most important thing is this is the tracking code. You copy this and implement across all section of your website. If you are using a CMS framework, the most important thing you will need is just the UA ID, which is like your tracking ID. All you just need to do is copy it and insert it in the plugin within the application you're using. All of the coding and requirements would have been taken care of by the plugin. So that's really that for you to get right. Once you have this implemented on your website and data start coming in, you will see here status would say receiving data or something similar to that. So the next thing is for you to understand the structure. Like I mentioned, this is account, this is property, and this is view. So for you to be able to access the same account that I'm currently looking at, all you just need to do is go to google.com and search for Google Analytics demo account. And the very first result you see will take you to the help center that explains how to get access to it. And all you need to do is just click on access demo accounts, and your email account will automatically be enrolled into this property and this view for you to be able to access it. So this is exactly how the dashboard looks like. It's pretty simple. Anyone can have access to it. But going back to the admin section of this dashboard, just for me to be able to explain that you can have several properties. So in this case, there's one property that is set up for this account, and there's just there are three views that has been set up. Like I mentioned, master view, test view, and raw data view. There's a reason for creating each one of these views. And when you set up your account, you should also have each one of these views set up. In the later class, I'm going to explain how to create views, but there's really nothing complicated about setting up of views. If you need to make changes to some of the things within your account, you can come to property settings and make changes to that. One of the important things I tell people to set up is enabling demographics and interest reporting. What this means is that your analytics will be able to collect more information about the user. So for example, you're able to see the age, the gender, the interest of the particular user accessing your website or your web property. So you need to enable this and turn it on. In other things, you can also enable enhanced link attribution. I will mention this in an advanced session. I think that's basic thing you need to have for now. So the next thing is to look at views. What are the settings you have in views? Pretty simple. You have a name, you have the URL, you have the time zone. In all of this, you can see they're grayed out because I do not have admin access to this view. I only have view access, and I can see all of these things set up. But for you, you would have admin access, and you can play around with some of these settings. And we'll come back to this in a later time. But the most important thing is for you to see that you have the account structure of creating accounts, creating a property, and a view, and then understanding that you have a tracking code that you need to implement across your website. So the next thing is seeing some things that you're tracking, that you've implemented and you need to see. The first thing you will see on your left is 4 type of reports, mainly real-time, or 5: real-time, audience, acquisition, behavior, and conversion. What is real-time? Real-time is going to tell you everything that is happening on your website right now. However, it's not as detailed as you would want it to be. The main reports are 4 reports, which is audience report. Audience report will give you information about who is on your website or on your web property, because it could be an app, it could be whatever you're tracking, any internet-enabled device you have implemented Google Analytics to help you track. The second thing is acquisition, which is meant to tell you, where did you get this user from? How did this user get to my website? It's going to tell you everything about how you acquired a user. Behavior will tell you, what is the user doing on my website? What behavior does he exhibit while on my website? And then conversion is going to give you reports on what are the things that the user is doing that is of importance to me. If, for example, the user is buying a product and I'm making revenue, that is something that is important to me. So I want to see how much revenue I'm making. If the user is taking an action that I want on my website, say is downloading a PDF that I want people to download, or subscribing to newsletters, or whatever it is that is most important for you as conversion, it is being tracked, then you would be able to measure all of these things here. And then again, we want to go back to admin to make settings. You come to admin here where we currently are. So let me go back to the real-time report, which is overview. The first thing you see in every report is overview. Overview gives you a summary of exactly what is that report about. So as you can see in the real-time overview report, like I mentioned, you see the number of users on your website. And as you can see, there are 20 users on this particular website. This website is the Google Merchandise Store website. And you see a graph that shows per minute and per second activities of the user on the website. So this is a page view report. What is a page view? A page view is the page that is viewed when the page loads. So when I go to a URL and the content of that page is downloaded on my screen, that is a page view that that happens at that point, and it shows an entrance into the website. And this happens like every second or every minute. And as you can see in this graph, this report is showing the number of people that are entering into our website, creating a page view at this particular instance. The next thing you have here is where they are coming from. Top referral, what referring sites are referring these users to this particular website. Top social traffic, where on a social platform are they coming from? If they're coming from a social platform. Top keyword, what keyword are they searching for that is making that is bringing the traffic to this website? And then the last second to the last thing you see here is the active page. What page on my website are these users on? And you see the breakdown by active users, the percentage of active users, and the exact number of users on the particular page. And then lastly, you see location of users globally, where they're accessing your website from. This is derived from the IP address of the computer that is accessing your website. And if you need to go to each one of this report, all you just need to do is click on the title. So if I click on top locations, it goes to the locations report, still within the real-time report. And then it shows you the same information, but now drill down per country. And you can look at traffic, like I mentioned, traffic sources. It shows you in real time now where are these users coming from. Are they coming from an organic traffic, a referral traffic, a paid traffic in CPC? What is the exact source? There was something I didn't mention here. You are able to see also what is the breakdown of users coming from mobile or from desktop. As you can see here, 7% are coming from a desktop device and 30% from a mobile device. So this is just a good, a good snapshot of what is happening on your website right now. The next thing you would want to find out is who is on my website, and then you go to your audience report. I'm going to highlight a few reports within the audience report and acquisition report. And in subsequent classes, we would dig deep into how to actually get insights out of all of these reports. So the first thing, again, you want to go under the audience report is the overview report. And then you see a nice graph based on days or even hour of the day that shows you the number of users on that have access to your website in a particular period of time. And as you can see, this particular period here is 12th of May to 18th of May. At any point in time, you can always change this to any time view you want to see. For example, if I check the last month, I can click on apply, and then it's going to show me on a daily basis how users have been increasing or decreasing visits to my website. Now, this is users. Users are actual users that visit your website. They're unique. And yes, there could be multiples. If, for example, I visit from my from my desktop, and I also visit from my mobile without signing in, the system is not able to detect the difference between me visiting from my mobile, and me visiting from my desktop. Yes, so this is still unique anyways. But you can also compare with other things. For example, page views. Or you can either compare or change the metric, and then you can see the number of page views I access or users access on my website. So it's a nice graph, and you can play around with it. You can check the same graph on an hourly basis. So you can see on this particular day at this hour at 10 o'clock on 26th of April, there was a huge spike in page views. The good thing with this is that you're able to see how things are happening even on an hourly basis, not just on a weekly basis that is going to aggregate data that shows that, yes, there was a increase, but where did that increase come from and what happened at that particular hour? You're able to understand. You can also toggle to the weekly to understand what is happening on a weekly basis. And you can always compare with other metrics as well. The next thing you want to also see is in this same time period, what is the aggregate number of users, new users acquired, number of sessions, which is same as number of visits, number of sessions per users, page views, pages per session, the session duration. The session duration is how long did a user spend on my website in a single visit. And then bounce rate is the amount of exits on my website after no interaction. So a user came to my website, didn't make any interaction, and left. What percentage of sessions contributed to that? That is exactly what bounce rate will give you. A good bounce rate is anything above or below plus or minus 30% is a good bounce rate. Anything above 80% or thereabout is not good. So this is the audience report. It gives you who are the users that are on my website. You have 58,000 users, of which 57% of them speak English, of which 39.8% are coming from the US. And then you can see all of these things in a simple snapshot. You can look at what operating system are they using to access your website. 55% access your website on Android. So the whole idea of the audience report is, who is this particular user? You can also drill down to each one of these reports easily. One that I would like to show is the demographics report. So here you're able to see what is the breakdown of users by age, by gender. And as you can see, 30% of users that have accessed this website in the last 30 days, which is in the last month, which was April 1st to April 30th, is 30%. You're able to see the age breakdown of users. You can break down per other key metrics, so per session, you're able to see the breakdown as well. This is very, very important because when you're able to drill down, for example, into gender, is you're able to see what is the distribution of the behavior for male or for female or for ages 13 to 17 or 65 and above. All of these are really, really good insight that you can use to properly develop your product or your marketing, or to improve anything you're doing. So that is the audience report. We're not going to drill so much today. To the next class, that will be looking at something really, really in depth and how to get insights that will grow your business or what you're trying to achieve. The next thing you have here is your acquisition report, which is, where are these users coming from? Again, in the overview report, you see a pretty simple interface that shows you the channels. So channels are usually like pipelines of where users are coming from. And then mostly you would have organic traffic, which is organic search, which is traffic coming from a search engine. Direct is when a user comes directly to your website. Social is coming from a social network referral, from a website that is not of the first three I mentioned. Mostly, say, or the news website as mentioned, or as linked to your website. So clicking on such links and coming to your website. And you have paid search, you have display, and you can have different means or channels of users getting to your website. Again, you see the breakdown of this acquisitions per users, sessions, bounce rate, conversions, whatever metric, you can actually break it down per the channel that you acquire them. A good report I usually check is all traffic source / medium report, and it breaks down the data even further. So for example, in this report, I have that traffic coming from Google that are organic, which means I didn't pay for them. I acquired 27,000 users in this time period. And this same traffic channel has a bounce rate of 49.16%. And I had a transaction of 342, right? But then you can compare it with another source and medium, Google CPC, which is a paid channel that acquired just 949 users, and I have a bounce rate of 30%, which is pretty low, which is good. And I had just only 34 conversions, as you can see here, 34 conversions. However, it has a really high conversion rate of 2.66 compared to 1.05%. So with this, you're able to see, should I continue my effort on the CPC, which is a paid campaign, and increase the number of users and sessions if I can keep this conversion rate, which means I'm going to get more conversions? And also, should I improve on my effort in my SEO, my organic traffic, to increase the number of users and also increase the number of transactions? So this is a really good report to look at. And there's a whole lot that you can do much more with this type of report. One interesting thing I like to show is, for example, you can look at other charts apart from this table report. So for example, you look at the performance report using the third graph here, the third icon here, and you're able to see what percentage of users are in this particular channel breakdown, or what is the number of new users you acquired in in this in this breakdown, or what is the bounce rate or revenue, whatever it is, you're able to see it at a glance, as percentages of each of this channel. Another report I like to show is the comparison report, which shows the metric. In this case, it could be users, it could be bounce rate, in a comparison way. So, for example, this is minus 70%. It means it's saying mail slash referral is 70% less than the site average, which means it's a good channel in terms of bounce rate, compared to 45.43% coming from YouTube, which is saying that YouTube has a higher bounce rate than the average, right? So it's a good report, or it's a good view for you to be able to see which channel or which keyword or which source or whatever metric you're measuring on the left is performing to average, and then you can make changes accordingly. Let me go to the behavior reports before we end with the questions that I have for this week. The last report here is the behavior report, which tells you what the user is doing on your website. And this usually will give you reports of the pages the users visit on your website. How long do they spend on those website? What is the individual bounce rate of this website? Where are the users exiting from? Where are they going from page 1 to page 2 to page 3? Are they searching on your website? What did they search on your website? Where did they drop off your website? So you're able to see all of this with the behavior report. And this is an example of the behavior flow. And you can play around with some of this drill downs and things like that. And it will show you a nice graph of users. For example, I'm changing it to campaign, and it's saying there's a campaign called Not Set, which is not good. That's the name of the campaign, because it doesn't have so much information. Let me try and highlight traffic through this. I think this will be better. This is a campaign called AdWords Accessories, and most of the traffic are going to or coming from the Google section of the page, or the YouTube section of the page, or the Android setup page. And it shows you the flow of what is happening on your website. And you can play around with different metrics and see what is happening based on the user's interaction. Other part of the website I like looking at is the all pages report, which shows you the number of page views each of the pages received, how much time was spent on those pages, how many times were those pages entrances to your website, how much were they also exits on your website, and then the value of each of the pages. And it's a good report, because with time you're able to understand, do I really need this page on my website if it's not doing any good? Or even if it's doing any good, how can I optimize that particular page? So for example, this is the sign-in page. The sign-in page could be a good entrance page, but if it's not receiving a number of sessions, or it has a high bounce rate, it means, or maybe people want to just get off when they want to sign in, right? But in this case, this is pretty low, which is good, about 30% bounce rate. So this is just an example of why you need to assess each one of this report, so that you can improve on it. There are a lot of other things. There is site search, there is events, there is site speed. You're able to measure how fast your page was to different users on different browsers in different countries, on different pages of your website. You're able to access all of these things, and this is really, really important. So that will be taken today on how to measure using Google Analytics. So until next week, before we continue again and we're going to go deeper. But for today, have an assignment for everyone. If you do have a website, all you just need to do is set up Google Analytics, insert the code on your website, and play around with the interface like you've seen me play around. and choose a metric that you think is important to your business, and tell me why you chose that metric and why you want to keep tracking it, so that it's going to contribute to your business. So tell me why you chose that particular metric. If you do not have a website or a blog, and you can implement Google Analytics before next week, you can access the same demo Google Analytics accounts, and play around with all the reports and choose any metric you think is important to you if you are the owner of this analytics account, and why do you think it's important to you. You can choose 1, 2, 3, whatever number of metrics, but have a good reason for choosing them, as it will contribute to your business. And then for everyone, the last assignment is go to the same Google Demo Analytics account and find the number of new users that access the website that this analytics account is tracking that came from mobile for the time period of 1st of September to 15th of September 2016. If we do this assignment correctly, we should arrive at the same answer. How many new users, not just users, new users access the website that is being tracked on this analytics account coming from mobile from the 1st of September to 15th of September 2016. So I'll be expecting to see your questions. If you do have any, you can write to me by email, or just write in the classroom stream, or just below the comment section under this video. So thank you very much for your time. I hope this has been helpful, and see you next week as we dig deeper into Google Analytics. Thank you very much.